Hello, my friend. Welcome to this week's episode on Happiness Happens. I'm Simona, host of the show, and today we are talking about a topic that feels very timely for me, and that is the correlation of happiness and travel. And the reason why we're talking about this specifically is because I've been traveling a lot over the last year or so. And I really think that there's so much power in traveling, and there's so much that we learn about ourselves and about other people when we're traveling. So that's why we're talking about this today. I'm going to share a little bit about what I've learned traveling, sharing it with you in hopes that it can help you and inspire you wherever you are on your journey right now. Now, if you're not traveling and you're like, this episode isn't really going to be helpful for me, I encourage you to stay to the end of this episode because there are some key things that we will cover that you will probably see specific correlations between your own experience of past travels or maybe upcoming travel that you have in your life. So, first of all, there are so many benefits to traveling. I truly believe that people need to get outside of their comfort zone, that they need to see different things. And traveling doesn't always mean leaving the country. It doesn't always mean going overseas, but it definitely means going to a new place, seeing something new, and experiencing something different. So, the travel that I'm talking about in this episode is the type of travel that is going to take you overseas to a different country and so on. But it doesn't have to be that way, right? If that's not what resonates with you, then that's totally okay. Travel can be defined however you want to define it. There are so many benefits to your overall happiness, though, when it comes to traveling. You meet new people, you have new experiences, you have massive shifts in perspective, you learn new things about the world, the way in which the world works. It takes you outside of your own little bubble and it helps you see things differently in a really powerful way. So, there's a couple of different things that I want to touch on when it comes to travel in specific. But let's start with the initial conception and the planning stage of your adventure. This relates to happiness because so much joy can be found in planning the travel that you are about to take and the journey that you're about to go on. So, if you're like me, you probably don't plan a lot of things in advance before you go somewhere, but there is a level of planning involved in getting you to wherever you want to go, right? So, I feel like personally for myself, the planning stage of picking where you're going to go, deciding where you're going to go, those aspects really boost your overall happiness levels. And you can find so much happiness from researching different destinations, creating itineraries, finding places to visit, things to do, understanding what the locals at whatever location you're going to do, because every area has its own specific and special things that we get to explore. But sometimes you just need a little bit of research in order to sort of make that happen and to make sure that you are going to be able to do some of the different experiences that you want to. So, for example, this episode, by the time it comes out, I'll be going on a trip to Italy. And so, for example, in Italy, it takes a little bit more planning because I have to actually physically plan, we are going to go to the Vatican on this day. We are going to go and do this thing on this day. And there's a few reasons for that, right? Because you want to make sure that you can fit in all of the different things that you want to do. And also, sometimes you have to buy tickets in advance and reserve tours and make sure that you have the space to be able to go and do the thing that you want to do. Because if you go somewhere and you're going to take a trip somewhere, right, there are so many things that we want to do, but if we don't plan ahead, we don't always get to. And I'm not a huge plan ahead person all the time. Most of the time I'm like, let's just go with it and see where it goes. But you can miss out on things when you do that. And so that's one thing that I've learned through traveling. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is the idea of new experiences. When you go somewhere new, wherever you are, it doesn't matter if you're in your own country, you're going to a different province if you're in Canada, or a different state if you're in the US, or you're going to a European country, or vice versa, you're coming from a European country to North America. Travel exposes us to so many different new things, new cultures, new foods, new activities, new people, new ways of being, new languages, right? And so this novelty or this excitement for learning about a new culture, trying a new food, sitting at a little new cafe, this can spark happiness, and the happiness activates your brain's reward system in that we have all of these new eye-opening experiences and all these new perspective shifting moments when you're traveling, that it broadens our awareness around new experiences so deeply. And honestly, I think I'm a better person for having traveled around the world. I love new foods. I will try all of the food. There really isn't a food in the world that I don't like, except for things that I might be allergic to, but that's not here nor there. And it creates this empathy for other people and a level of tolerance, especially when you're trying to learn a new language. And so there's a lot of really cool things that you can experience for the first time everywhere you travel, no matter how many trips you've taken. The next piece is the personal growth side. Now, I will say this. I recently heard a quote. I was editing a client's podcast for my production company. And one of the people had said that you can't heal in the environment that hurt you or that broke you. So I've been on a whole bunch of travel in the last couple of years because I was going through and still am going through, separation from my ex-husband and divorce and all that kind of stuff, right? And so there's a level of personal growth that comes with being able to travel around the world. Travel will push you so far outside of your comfort zone. It'll push you out of your routines. It'll help you establish new footing. And when we're in discomfort, that's where personal growth starts to lead to more life satisfaction. So sometimes we need to be pushed outside of our own comfort zone so that we can grow as people. We can learn more about who and how we are. And we need to remove ourselves from situations or environments where we feel comfortable but also stagnant in order to learn more about us as human beings. Because this is the Happiness Happens podcast, and we do talk about the spiritual side of life and higher consciousness and all of those amazing things. And one really powerful thing is that we are all here on this journey of life, right? To learn more about ourselves, to grow in consciousness, to expand our awareness. And so when we put ourselves in new areas, when we put ourselves in new situations, expose ourselves to new cultures, new people, new foods, new drinks, new nightlife, new ways of spending your evenings, life becomes sweeter, right? I learned by going over to Europe how beautiful it is, how people sit outside on the little terraces every single night with their families and their friends, and they're all together, and everyone is having something to eat, and you're having something to drink, and the kids are running around, and people are together. And it creates this sense of community, this sense of something bigger than. And it helps you bring that awareness back into your own life too, that yes, we have busy lives. Yes, we do a lot of work every single day. Yes, we have jobs and kids and families and sports and kids sports and extracurriculars and like all of the above. But like life is meant to be enjoyed at the end of the day. And so when you can go somewhere that forces you to step outside of your comfort zone to show you how to slow down and to show you how to enjoy the moment and to have conversations with new people and to just try something new, that is so powerful. And this has been a significant shaper of my own personal growth. It's helped me learn more. It's helped me become smarter. It's helped me put myself in rooms with people that I would normally have been so uncomfortable. There's an element of personal growth that cannot be replicated or accessed without traveling, without seeing a different part of the world. The next thing that I absolutely love about traveling is the connections that we make with other people. Traveling allows us to meet new people, to form new connections, to make relationships happen in real life, to create bonds with people that we would have not necessarily maybe met before, to share stories and hear stories from people halfway across the world, to give people the chance to educate us and to teach us and to inspire us. And so I love this idea of travel. I love being able to make new connections with people and that short-term happiness that we get, right? From bonding with locals, from meeting different guides in different areas of wherever we're traveling and exploring, but also meeting fellow travelers too. I remember when I was younger, I think I was in my young 20s. It was like my young 20s. I was like 21 or 22. I went backpacking with a girlfriend for about a month. And we stayed in different hostels. We met different people, all kinds of people from around the world. And we had so much fun. We let ourselves, of course, always be safe, right? Safety is so important. And it teaches you this awareness, right? When you travel, you meet new people, you form new connections, you go into different spaces and different rooms, you become more aware as a human being, right? You become smarter. You become just more like safer, and you become more aware of your surroundings, and it teaches you life skills that staying at home and staying in your little bubble won't teach you. And I'm not saying that you need to go on like a million adventures a year like I do. I mean, I travel quite a bit. I'm gone often, but even if you're going somewhere for a weekend, it teaches you a certain different set of skills. It teaches you resilience. It teaches you to rely on yourself and that you will always figure it out. And so forming those different connections allows us to meet people, to bond with people, and to create those lasting friendships sometimes with people that we never would have expected or anticipated. And it allows that expansion in life, that expansion in business, that expansion in, your relationships with your partner, your husband, your wife, your friends, your family, your kids, right? It gives you new experiences. It takes you outside of what you're doing all the time. Now, I will caveat this and say that I do know that there's a lot of privilege that comes with being able to travel. And also, there is a certain amount of way in which I believe we can create in our lives the type of life that we want to live. So, the type of life that I want to live includes travel, right? So I started shaping my decisions and my business and, all of the things that I do every single day. I started shaping them to help sustain and support the type of life that I wanted to create for myself. So maybe for you, taking, a 2-day vacation once a year, once every 2 years is what's feasible. Maybe it's just going to a cottage that somebody else is allowing you to have for free. Travel doesn't have to be elaborate. It doesn't have to be this big, massive thing. It's anything that takes you outside of your day to day, anything that takes you outside of your little bubble and your little life in and of itself. That said, I do know and recognize that there is a lot of privilege with being able to go and stay in the States for a couple of months and going to Europe and like all of the above. So I do want to highlight that and recognize that. And also, I'm not just talking about travel that brings you overseas. I'm also talking about travel that can take you just one city out of where you live. The last thing we're going to talk about is this idea of post travel. And I feel like travel changes you as a person. For me, sometimes I find it hard to come back home after being away, to come back home after I've explored somewhere new, because you're not the same person when you come back. And one thing that I found a little bit challenging over the last little bit is other people expect you to be the exact same, but you're not necessarily the exact same, right? And so when we go outside of our comfort zone, when we go somewhere new, we grow, we expand. We obviously have to come back home. So when we come back home, we do have the opportunity to help other people see the world through our eyes, right? Help people see and experience what we have through the stories that we share, the photos that we show, the different experiences that we want other people to reminisce with us, and thinking about and having something to anticipate, a future trip or something can help us in those really hard moments and can help to boost our happiness a little bit, especially when we're feeling a little bit low, because as we've learned on the podcast, happiness is external, but it's also internal, right? And it's okay to look to those external things for that sense of happiness. It's okay to have something to look forward to and to have an amazing trip booked and planned and be really excited about that. And so when you bring and invite travel into your life, you create so much more expansion in so many different ways. I will tell you that my own business, my own life, my own relationships have expanded like a million times just by being able to go somewhere new and experience something different. So if you are looking to travel and if you are looking to get outside your comfort zone, let this be your sign, right? Let yourself explore. Let yourself be guided by where your soul wants to take you and the journey that you want to go on. Not everyone is going to understand what you want to do, right? Not everyone is going to understand, you leaving and traveling around and all of the above. But it doesn't really matter, because at the end of the day, it's about what you want and it's about what's important for you and your own growth as well. So I hope you enjoyed this little snippet, this little episode on travel and how it adds to your happiness. I will say, I've been so fortunate to be able to travel this entire year, almost pretty much. And I am so grateful at the experiences that I've had, the new people that I've met, the relationships that I've built. And I genuinely think that it adds such a depth to our life and adds such a beautiful way of living and beautiful way of being. So let me know, where are you headed next? Send me a message. Let me know whether it's one city over or a whole continent away. Let me know where you are headed, because I would love to hear from you. Thank you for tuning into this week's episode on Happiness Happens. I hope you have a beautiful day ahead. And remember, happiness happens when you're least expecting it.